Good morning, good morning, good morning. Order in the court. Order in the court. I am your host, Attorney Simone, your legal bestie. And today we have Diddy's unsealed indictment. Okay. We are going to go through the charges. We're going to go through the specifics, y'all. We got the documents, we got the receipts, because this is the channel where you come here for your legal infotainment, edutainment. Okay. So we don't just talk about what are our opinions? What do we think? Nobody really cares. We also go over the actual documents over here. So good morning, all. Hit that like as you come on in. We're going to be going over the indictment. Before we get started, I don't forget you can schedule a consultation with me at simoneredwine.com. Consultations, actually, you just go, you hit the little button here for book. Let's see, book or hire Simone. Come down here. Consultations start at $149 for only 30 minutes. But also, go ahead, get that book. Get my book, Background Checks 101, The Beginner's Guide to Finding Out Who the Heck You're Really Dealing With, okay? Child. You see, I got this background here, okay? Because I'm in jail like Diddy. That's what we got going on here. I'm in jail like Diddy. In honor of him finally being indicted and taken into custody, I just thought we'd have throw this little jail background. So I'm just in jail today with like Diddy. Y'all, I have to let you know I have not reviewed the indictment in advance. I was moving so quickly this morning, I didn't even get a chance to put pants on. Okay. I put on a bra because I'm a classy lady and I didn't want to embarrass my parents. But we're going to get right into it. All right. So TMZ has revealed that Diddy has been indicted on sex trafficking, racketeering, and charges, among others. Okay. I got to kind of watch my language for YouTube. Now, here are the 3 counts he was charged with. Now, he was charged with racketeering conspiracy, Rico, trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, and transportation to engage prostitutas. Okay. According to the indictment, from '08 to the present, members of the Combs enterprise allegedly engaged in trafficking, forced labor, interstate transportation for purposes of prostitution, coercion, and enticement to engage in prostitution, narcotics offenses, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice. Now, we know he was obstructing justice. We've got that evidence. The way he disposed of Cassie's videotape of him whipping that tail at the hotel, which, by the way, the hotel did pay her. They paid her millions through their policy, which is why we never saw a lawsuit against them, is the hotel has sense enough to settle with her out of court prior to her filing a lawsuit. It was against the hotel chain. Okay. That's why you come here, you get the legal tea. According to the indictment, the purpose of Combs' enterprise was to operate a global business in the media, entertainment, and lifestyle industries. The purpose also includes, preserving Diddy's power and fulfilling his personal desires. You little nasty, especially in relation to gratification, including through the exploitation of women and the use of commercial workers. And I know that because I've told the story before. I had a gay boyfriend one time. He was a little gay. He was like 49%, like 49% gay. And he used to be one of Diddy's sex workers, but he was very handsome. So anyway, I've grown since then. The indictment mentions the now famous freak off parties, calling them da 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 da. All right, let's just go to the indictment. I wanted to make sure we were clear. So he's got 3 main charges. Now, I saw someone in the chat, Nicole, said only 3 charges. I thought he'd have 25 to 50. We'll find out why. I'm going to guess these 3 charges are going to be so heavy that they are the kinds of charges that will attach a life sentence. So that might be why. Here we go. We're going to go ahead. Somebody said, what? Just casually drop that on us. Oh, yeah. He was 49% gay. Wait, where my little thing go? Here we go. So I got cataracts or old age or whatever I got. So I'm going to be reading it from my iPad here. All right. So it says for count 1, let me I'll put it up here a little bigger for you guys, because I know y'all like the tea just like I do. What is wrong with this? Here we go. There we are. All right. Miss Redwine's really breaking it down. I'm gonna read a few comments before I get started. It says, so Cassie sued the hotel for accepting Diddy's hush money. So really what it is with Cassie, under the law that she filed under, and as you remember, I was one of the first attorneys to file civil suit against R. Kelly in New York State. And we used basically the same law, the prior version of that law. And specifically, one of the things that it says is it doesn't just go after the people like Diddy, it also goes after basically his accomplices, the people who helped him hurt, assault her, or hide the assault. That's how she was able to wrap the hotel up into those claims and why the statute of limitation had not otherwise passed for the hotel. If it were not for that special New York law that reopened the window for 1 year for victims to file, she wouldn't have been able to settle against the hotel too. Because it reopened and because the hotel was an accomplice, the hotel hid that footage of the assault against her. They were on the hook and they had to run her coins. Okay. Girl, is that legal? They going live with the indictment. I have it. Yes. I'm going live with the indictment. Yes, that's what we're doing right now. Okay. Oh, thank you, Nicole. You're my legal bestie. I definitely miss my calling. Yes, and so I get to live via you. Oh, well, it's never too late. I have homegirls I've helped get into law school at 40. So you stay in touch. Okay. 49% gay. Yes. Why only 3 counts? We did that. Ba, ba, ba. All right, let's go. I'll make this a bit bigger. All right. It says for decades, Sean Combs, aka Diddy. Now it's only 14 pages, so it won't take that long. Also, I will be I'm going to be doing this fairly fast and leave my commentary primarily to the end. All right. So it says Puffy, aka Love, the defendant, abused, threatened, and coerced women and others around him to fulfill his sexual desires, protect his reputation, and conceal his conduct. To do so, Combs relied on the employees, resources, and influence of the multifaceted business empire that he led and controlled, creating a criminal enterprise whose members and associates engaged in and attempted to engage in, among other crimes, as trafficking, forced labor, the word that means you're taking somebody from where they want to be to away, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice. Sean Combs, aka Diddy, the defendant, operated his business headquartered at various times in Manhattan and LA under a variety of US-based corporate entities. Let's see, including Bad Boy, Combs Enterprise, we don't care about them. Okay, paragraph 3. At all times relevant to this indictment, Diddy, aka Love, the defendant, engaged in a persistent and pervasive pattern of abuse towards women and other individuals, the gays too. This abuse was at times verbal, emotional, physical, and sexual. As part of his pattern of abuse, Combs manipulated women to participate in highly orchestrated performances of S activity with male commercial S workers, like my ex-boyfriend. At times, Combs and others acting at his direction made arrangements for women and commercial S workers to fly to Combs' location. This is true. Combs ensured participation from the women by, among other things, obtaining and distributing narcotics to them, controlling their careers, leveraging his financial support, and threatening to cut off the same and using intimidation and violence. Oh, wait. Leveraging his financial support and threatening to cut off the same. That sounds like we're going to be hearing from women that he once financially supported and then cut off their money once they wouldn't perform the S acts, the little nasty acts he wanted done. Physical abuse, number 4, by Sean Combs, aka Love, the defendant, was recurrent and widely known. On numerous occasions from at least about 2009 and continuing for years, 2009? That's when he got with Cassie. In other words, this indictment is starting from the days of Cassie. Combs assaulted women by, among other things, striking, punching, dragging, throwing objects at, and kicking them. He threw them eggs in Cassie's face. Dawn told us about that. These assaults were at times witnessed by others and included one instance at a Los Angeles hotel in or about March 2016, which was captured on video and later publicly reported, where Combs kicked, dragged, and threw a vase at a woman as she was attempting to leave. Kidnapping. I told y'all. I'm going to finish this paragraph. When a member of the hotel security staff intervened, Combs attempted to bribe the staff member to ensure silence. Combs's violence was also not limited to these women. It extended to his employees, witnesses. Sorry, I hit myself in the head. To his employees, witnesses to his abuse, and others. Y'all remember when the video initially came out of the hotel situation and LA County prosecutors said they can't bring charges, right? And I said, well, what about kidnapping? It didn't have a statute of limitations, or the statute of limitations had not yet run. I can't remember which of the two. I kept saying kidnapping, kidnapping, kidnapping. I also said that's just state. There can still be federal charges. I told you I was right. That's why y'all come over here. We're accurate. We don't just be over here with the foolishness. Yes, we're fun and foolish, but my mind intact. They didn't let me in this school. They didn't let me in this establishment for my looks. I wasn't even that cute back then. So here, what's important to note is although LA said they could not pick up those charges, here it appears that the kidnapping, Cassie may be one of the Cassie situation, maybe one of the ones that is included under that kidnapping charge. Here we go. Number 5, the defendant, Sean Combs, the defendant, used the Combs business, including certain employees, to carry out, facilitate, and cover up his abuse and commercial sex. Oh my God, y'all. Oh my God, y'all. You don't understand what this means legally, or maybe you do. Those employees, it states, including security staff, household staff, personal assistants, and high-ranking supervisors and other close associates, acted as Combs intermediaries, and their conduct was facilitated and assisted by Combs' control of the Combs business. Baby, I feel sorry for his daughters. What this means is there will be what's called civil asset forfeiture. Civil asset forfeiture is when the law basically says, if we believe you either obtain these assets from your illegal acts or you used assets to commit illegal acts, here, the Combs business, they can seize every goddamn thing they have, every piece of stock, computers, any yachts, anything of value. So the way in which he's putting stuff in other people's names, I'll say this, the stuff in the names of Combs Enterprises, since it's mentioned here, they're going to get to season, baby. They're going to get to season. And what happens is anything seized cannot be used to pay his lawyer's expenses. So he's about to be bleeding. He's about to be bleeding from his butthole, from his pocketbooks, and anywhere else. Let's continue. The Combs Enterprise, paragraph 6. Let's see. From at least in or around 2008 through on or about the date of the filing of this indictment, Sean Combs, aka Puffy, the defendant, and others known and unknown were members and associates of a criminal organization. Members and associates of the Combs Enterprise engaged in and attempted to engage in, among other activities, as trafficking, forced labor, interstate transportation for purposes of prostitution, coercion, and enticement to engage in prostitution, narcotics, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice. The Combs Enterprise, including its leadership, members, and associates, constitute an enterprise as defined by the law. That is a group of individuals associated in fact, although not a legal entity. The Combs Enterprise consisted of Sean Combs, aka Diddy, aka PD, aka Love, the defendant, entities within the Combs business, including but not limited to Bad Boy, here we go, Entertainment, Combs Enterprises, and Combs Global. These are all entities that are going to have their assets seized by the feds, as well as it states here, it also included individuals employed by and associated with the Combs business and others known and unknown. Paragraph 8, the Combs Enterprise constituted an ongoing organization whose members function as a continuing unit for a common purpose of achieving the objectives of the Combs Enterprise. The Combs Enterprise was engaged in and its activities affected interstate and foreign commerce. The Combs Enterprise operated in the Southern District of New York and elsewhere. Y'all hit that like button. I need you to hit that like button so that YouTube will recommend this video. Sean Combs, aka Diddy, and others known and unknown participated in unlawful and other activities related to the conduct of the Combs Enterprises affairs. These individuals included certain Combs business employees, such as members of the security staff, household staff, personal assistants, and high ranking supervisors, as well as other close associates. Purposes of the Combs Enterprise. The purpose of the enterprise includes the following. Operating a global business in the media, entertainment, and lifestyle industries, including, among other things, record labels and recording studio, apparel line, alcohol, spirits, blah, blah, blah. B, preserving, protecting, promoting, and enhancing the power, reputation, and brand of Sean Combs, the defendant as a musician, entrepreneur, and figure in the entertainment industry. It also included enriching members and associates of the enterprise, including its leader, Combs, and in particular, those who demonstrated loyalty to Combs and willingness to conceal his crimes. We will have to stay tuned as to whether or not any of the children, any of his sons, also get indicted. That's going to be a separate indictment, a separate process. D, preserving, protecting, promoting, and enhancing the power of the Combs Enterprise, including the power of its leader, Combs, through violence, use of firearms, threats of violence, coercion, and verbal, emotional, physical, and abuse. Fulfilling the personal desires of Combs, particularly those related to Combs's gratification, including through the exploitation of women and the use of commercial workers. Enabling Combs and other members and associates of the Combs Enterprise to engage in unlawful acts of violence, including violence, trafficking, forced labor, interstate transportation for purposes of prostitution, coercion, and enticement to engage in prostitution, narcotics distribution, and other crimes, and concealing the commission of such antics. Here we go. We only got 34 likes and 300 viewing. Hit that like, guys. Oh, was it a bit blurry for you guys? I'm so sorry. All right, well then I'll actually, let's see. Oh, it also might be, it might be the, so I have a question. I'm going to start your question. It also might be that it might be your Wi-Fi signal as well. It also states that it says E, part of the Combs Enterprise goal was fulfilling the personal desires of Combs, particularly those related to, I think I read this, sex gratification, including through the exploitation of women and the use of commercial workers. Okay, going down to G, securing absolute loyalty from members of the Combs Enterprise, including through acts of violence and threats, as well as protecting the enterprise and its members and associates, including Combs, from detection and prosecution by law enforcement authorities through acts of intimidation, manipulation, bribery, and threats of retaliation against individuals who witnessed the crimes committed by members and associates of the enterprise. The means and method. Among the means and methods by which Sean Combs, the defendant, and other members and associates of him conducted and participated in the conduct of the affairs of the enterprise includes, this is how they're giving y'all these facts to show you how they came to the counts that they have. It says, including Combs and other members and associates of the enterprise wielded the power and prestige of Combs's role at the Combs business to intimidate, threaten, and lure female victims into his orbit, often under the pretense of a romantic relationship. Combs then used force, threats of force, and coercion to cause victims to engage in extended acts with male commercial workers that Combs referred to as, among other things, freak offs. Y'all, they talking about the freak offs. Freak offs were elaborate and produced sex performances that Combs arranged, directed, stroked his willy during, and often electronically recorded, and arranging those were the documents, y'all, that they obtained in March of earlier this year. All those boxes toted out of his house, all those videos, that's what that's referring to. Freak-offs occurred regularly, sometimes lasting multiple days, and often involved multiple commercial workers. During these freak-offs, Combs distributed a variety of controlled substances to victims. Let's see. In part to keep the victim obedient and compliant. Sometimes, unbeknownst to the victims, Combs kept videos he filmed of victims engaging in acts with commercial sex workers. Unbeknownst to them, that's illegal. You cannot do that. After freak-offs, Combs and the victims typically received IV fluids to recover from the physical exertion and drug use. Oh, members and associates of the enterprise. Mm, mm, that's disgusting. Sorry, I'm trying to be healthy. Members and associates of the Combs enterprise, including high ranking supervisors, security staff, household staff, personal assistants, and other Combs business employees, facilitated the freak offs by, among other things, booking hotel rooms for the freak offs, stocking the hotel rooms in abundance in advance of the freak offs, freak off supplies, including controlled substances, baby oil, lubricant, extra linens, and lighting, cleaning the hotel rooms after the freak offs to try to mitigate room damage, arranging for travel for victims, commercial S workers, and Combs to and from freak offs. I remember my boyfriend used to say they had a car for him. Like they would have a car. It would never tell him where he's going. It would give him an estimate like 45 minutes away or whatever, whether it was the Hamptons or someplace in upstate New York, like not upstate, but outside of New York. The car would just come for him, take him where he wanted to go, pick him up and drop him off like a hooker, like a male hooker. And it also include resupplying Combs with requested supplies, delivering large sums of cash to Combs to pay the commercial sex workers, and scheduling the delivery of IV fluids. In or about March 2024, during searches of Combs' residence in Miami, Florida, and Los Angeles, California, law enforcement seized various freak-off supplies, including narcotics and more than 1,000 bottles of baby oil or lubricant. Oh, okay. Let me say this again for you guys. It says in or about March, during searches of his residences in Miami and California, LA, law enforcement seized various freak-off supplies, including narcotics and more than 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant. Do you know how much butt stuff they must be doing? Really? And where are you putting this baby oil? You put it in the wrong crevices and you are in for a world of trouble. It will itch for a very long time. I have a sidebar story for that I won't go into today because we're only on page 7 and we've got to get to 14. Combs subjected victims to physical, emotional, and verbal abuse to cause the victims to engage in freak offs. Combs maintained control over his victims through, among other things, physical violence, promises of career opportunities, granting and threatening to withhold financial support, and other coercive means, including tracking their whereabouts, dictating the victim's appearance, monitoring their medical records, controlling their housing, and supplying them with controlled substances. During and separate from freak offs, Combs, among other things, kicked, threw objects at, and dragged victims at times by their hair. These assaults often resulted in injuries that took days or weeks to heal. They're referring to Cassie. Combs also threatened victims' careers and livelihoods, including if they resisted participating in freak offs. Victims believed they could not refuse Combs' demands without risking their financial or job security or without repercussions in the form of physical or emotional abuse. Combs also used the sensitive, embarrassing, and incriminating recordings that he made during the freak offs as collateral to ensure the continued obedience and silence of the victims. Members and associates of the Combs enterprise, including Combs security personnel, at times carried firearms. On more than one occasion, Combs himself carried or brandished firearms to intimidate and threaten others, including victims of and witnesses to his abuse. In or about March 2024, during searches of his residence in Miami, Florida, and LA, law enforcement seized firearms and ammunition, including 3 AR-15s with defaced serial numbers, as well as a drum magazine. 3 of them. 3 ARs, that's really what you need. Members and associates of the Combs enterprise enabled Combs' control over victims by following his directions regarding financial payments to victims, advancing or suppressing the victim's career opportunities, and acquiring the controlled substances Combs used to keep the victims compliant. Members and associates of the enterprise at times witnessed Combs' violence toward the victims or the victims' injuries caused by Combs without intervening. Instead, Members and associates of the enterprise helped conceal the violence and abuse by, among other things, assisting Combs in monitoring and preventing victims from leaving locations such as hotels or the Combs residence. Again, Cassie, you go ahead, girl. You got your coins. Now you're getting your justice. These occasions included instances in which a victim was required to remain in hiding, sometimes for several days at a time, to recover from injuries that Combs inflicted without being publicly observed. Cassie. Members and associates of the Combs enterprise also assisted Combs in locating and contacting victims who attempted to flee his abuse. When employees witnessed his abuse, or others when employees witnesses to his abuse or others threaten Combs' authority or reputation, Combs and members and associates of the enterprise engage in acts of violence, threats of financial and reputational harm, and verbal abuse. These acts of violence included kidnapping and arson. Arson. Oh, we're going to get to that. In addition, on multiple occasions, Combs threw both objects and people. He threw people. I wonder if that was Wale. Hopefully we'll find out. As well as hit, dragged, choked, and shoved others. I think the arson was blowing up Kid Cudi's car when he thought Kid Cudi was dating Cassie. I think they had a break and the two were allegedly dating. Oh, God. And shoved others. When Combs' authority or reputation was threatened by the possibility of negative publicity or legal or law enforcement action against him, including in or about late 2023, following public allegations of Combs' crimes. Combs and members and associates of the enterprise pressured witnesses and victims, including through attempted bribery, to stay silent and not report what they experienced or knew to law enforcement. On phone calls, Combs and other members and associates of the enterprise, among other things, provided these victims and witnesses with a false narrative of events in an effort to conceal Combs' crimes. Combs caused these calls to be recorded on at least 2 occasions. Now, here we get into the charges, y'all. Take a breather. Look at these comments. They're having a press conference right now about Diddy. Who is the they? Oh, let's see if we can go to it. Let's see if I can find it. Let's see if I can find it. Oh, it's on live stream. Oh my gosh, let's see if I can find it. Okay. Oh.
Doing this. Your office was the office that had been prosecuting Jeffrey Epstein before he died in custody. I have not read your detention memo yet. It's the first thing I'm going to do after this ends. But does the memo address, or is your office concerned with Combs' safety in custody, given what happened with Epstein?
So we are concerned with anyone's safety whenever they are detained prior to trial. It's part of our obligations to keep people safe as well. It's part of the criminal justice system. So, but I do not draw any sort of connection between Jeffrey Epstein's suicide and what may or may not happen to any other defendant while they are detained pre-trial. And of course, the decision whether to detain the defendant will be up to a judge. Our position is that pretrial detention is warranted under the law and based on the facts of this case. And I'll
no bail.
Are some of the prosecutors on this case some of the same prosecutors that had been handling that or that worked on the Maxwell case?
So I'm not going to get into the staffing. I will say that this team, this group of AUSAs, this incredible group has been working on this case around the clock, and they've had their hands full. Next question.
Gus Rosendale, NBC News.
Good morning, sir. Combs' attorney said that his client has been cooperative with investigators. He said that this morning. I was wondering if you would have a reaction to that.
Let me just say this. I think that generally with increasing frequency, the word cooperative or cooperating has taken on tremendous elasticity and no longer really bears any relation to what the word means when we use it in a very specific context. So responding to lawful process, and the like does not qualify as cooperation when we use that term here.
Mike Sisak, AP.
Thanks. To that end, was there any discussion of Mr. Combs surrendering? I understand he was taken into custody at a hotel in Manhattan last night, and maybe that wasn't the plan. Can you elaborate on how that came about and why that was?
I'm not going to be able to get into any sort of operational details as to how he was taken into custody and when. He is in custody right now. He will be appearing in court later today.
Was there any discussion of him surrendering, given they claim he's cooperating?
I'm not going to be able to get into law enforcement tactics or operations.
I mean, you make a big deal of the guns, but how come they're not charged outright or with obliterating serial numbers? That's automatic.
Well, I can't get into the charging decision. It is very meaningful to us that weapons were possessed, as we allege in the indictment. Part of the reason why this conduct was so pervasive and harmful was because victims and others didn't necessarily feel comfortable denying him his wishes, as we allege, because of the presence of firearms. I should leave it there.
Thanks. Last question, Jacob Shamison.
Jacob Shamsian, Business Insider. Thank you. Given that he's the sole defendant in this case and that you allege he's part of a conspiracy that involves members of his companies, do you anticipate a superseding indictment that bring allegations against other members of his companies or other co-conspirators as well?
I can't take anything off the table. Anything is possible. Our investigation is very active and ongoing. And I think a lot of you who cover this office know that when we say such things, that developments are certainly foreseeable, but I cannot predict them sitting here today. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
What part of his business empire is exposed?
That's it. That's all you get.
Thank you, everyone.
You
Thank
gave
you.
us nothing. You gave us nothing. You just make sure there's nothing else juicy that's gonna happen. Ooh, yeah. Okay. Woo. All right. So let me summarize what we learned in that press conference. The gist of it is that they feel confident in their charges. They feel that more charges could be brought in the future. They're not speaking as to who else might be charged, but they confirmed they are seeking no bail. No bail. They want him to sit there. Y'all, even R. Kelly got bail, y'all. R. Kelly was granted $1 million bail, made it like that, and was out. If he gets $1 million bail, he's gonna be out. He knows somebody somewhere. He has more than enough assets, even though if you watched my broadcast yesterday, you saw that I covered the fact that there was the default judgment hearing where a prisoner obtained $100 million default against him yesterday. And with that came an injunction preventing him from selling any of his assets until this guy gets his 100 mil. Well, that could create a problem for if he needs to put up collateral for his bond. Now, if he's got $1 million cash and it's $1 million bond, then he's fine. But what we really are going to want to know today is what is the bond, if at all? But because if he doesn't have no bond, he's going to have to sit there for, it could be years. It could take 2 years to get to trial. Tanya King said, I know Jennifer Williams is glad Simone is off her neck and on to Diddy's. You know what? Honestly, my heart bleeds for that woman. I'm actually very worried for her because looking at the playbook that Christian is using, it looks just like an abuser's playbook. They isolate you from your friends and family. They make you think they're the only one who loves you. You're the only one who cares. And then they get to whooping your tail. I pray that doesn't happen to her, but I am also laying back off of this because I don't want her to feel that she can't go and ask for help if she needs it, if she gets put in that situation. I'm not saying it's already happening, but I am saying he did go to jail for false imprisonment. And according to the court transcript that I read on that false imprisonment charge, he was whooping the tail of his prior girlfriend. So I see no reason why he wouldn't whoop Jennifer's. And I do not want her to feel like because she's got all these eyes on her, she can't say, okay, I was wrong, and go and get help and get to safety. So that's the Jennifer. Yep. Somebody, Jasmine said, me too. Christian's a Diddy, and I'm worried for her too. Yeah. I hope they take away his passport. I'm pretty sure they are going to require that. I am. So May says she's laughing at the fact that some are still thinking that feds have nothing. Listen, did y'all see their boxes? Did you see those? Whoever is saying that must not have seen the photos of the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of boxes that were removed, okay, from Diddy's house. Now, we know if they were able to get 1,000 bottles of baby oil, imagine what else they were able to obtain, okay? So we're going to go back to, here we go. I want to do it this way. I don't know if that's a little more helpful. All right, we're going to go back to this petition. Here. There we go. Do it this way. Because, child, it's a whole bunch of, there's a lot of foolishness this man got going on. Oop, here we go. And, all right, next it says, okay, so the racketeering is where we were at. It says from at least 2008 through on or about the date of the filing of this indictment, the defendant and others, known and unknown, being persons employed by and associated by the Combs enterprise, described in paragraphs 6 through 12 of the indictment as an enterprise engaged in and the activities of which affected interstate and foreign commerce. That's because the feds can only indict you for crimes that impact interstate commerce. If it's only impacting one state, you got to go and you're going to go to jail or prison in that state. And only that state can charge you. But when multiple are involved, that's why the feds could be involved here. It said it was interstate commerce knowingly combined, conspired, confederated, and agreed together with each other to violate the racketeering laws of the U.S. To wit, U.S. Code 1962C, that is, to conduct and participate directly and indirectly in the conduct of the affairs of the Combs enterprise through a pattern of racketeering activity as described in the law. Y'all, that is Rico. Rico Suave, Rico Love, whatever Rico you want. He got it. He's charged with it. We got Rico here. Specifically, and these acts here are consisting of A, multiple acts involving kidnapping, chargeable under the following provisions of the law. California Code. That would be the hotel incident. Remember when I said that the state of California said they weren't going to pursue blah, blah, blah. And I was like, what about kidnapping? Because kidnapping did not have a California statute of limitations. Seems like the truth of the matter is they said, nah, y'all got this, talking about the feds, because they knew the feds have more resources to bring it on home. And states don't like to pursue someone for a crime that the feds are similarly, while the feds have similar criminal charges pending. They'd rather save the money, not spend the state money to pursue that criminal charge and let the feds do it. Next, so California Penal Code on, so the code on napping, napping, attempt, aiding and abetting, and conspiracy. It also says multiple acts involving arson, chargeable under the following provisions. Oh, I can't wait. Attempt, aiding and abetting, conspiracy, multiple acts involving bribery. That's going to be the hotel video. Bribery, chargeable under the following provisions. Bribery of a witness, attempt, aiding and abetting, conspiracy. Multiple acts indictable under Title 18 relating to tampering with a witness, victim, or informant. Also another act relating to forced labor. Another act relating to trafficking. Another one relating to transportation and inducement to travel for purposes of prostitution and illegal and sexual activities. And multiple offenses involving the possession with the intent to distribute or distribution of narcotics and controlled substances, including cocaine, oxy, alprazolam, meth. Some other things I can't pronounce. Gamma hydroxyl. Was that hyaluronic acid? Can I use it on my face? Hydroxyburic acid. I don't even know what that is. Ketamine. This is stuff that's supposed to be in the doctor's office. It's not supposed to be at a whorehouse. Okay. In violation of the law. Also, he was charged with distribution and possession with the intent to distribute and conspiracy to do the same, as well as aiding, abetting, and willfully causing, we don't know what, willfully causing certain things Remember, I said months ago when Brendan Paul, his drug mule, was arrested at the Florida airport that he was going to turn to the feds and assist them. What they're describing here, I bet you all these drugs, how they knew all of those things. One, they said they did seize them from Diddy's house, and then I'm sure they interviewed Brendan, and Brendan sang like a canary. I showed a picture of that little boy yesterday. He looked dirty and confused. Bless his heart. He looked dirty and confused, like he done been through some things for real. Let me show this picture one more time. Polo thing. Brendan Paul, dirty and confused. Here we go. Brendan Paul, bless his little heart. He had a bad day. Look at him. Here we no. You need to see this. You need the illustration. He's a little dirty and confused. Here we are. This is him, bless his heart. You see that? Now, he used to be a good boy before he got into the drugs. Now, he's just dirty and confused, okay? All right, back to the indictment. Yep, Tia made the important comment, said Matthew Perry died from ketamine, and Danny, the arsonist Kid Cudi, car blowing up. I believe so too. All right, let's get to it. All right, so this was the racketeering charge. Notice of special sentencing factor from at least in or about 2009 up to and including in or about 2018 in the Southern District of New York and elsewhere as part of his agreement to conduct and participate in the conduct of the affairs of the Combs enterprise through a pattern of racketeering activity. Sean Combs agreed to in and affecting interstate commerce and foreign commerce, knowingly recruit, entice, harbor, transport, provide, obtain, advertise, maintain, patronize, and solicit by any means a person knowing and in reckless disregard of the fact that means of force, threats of force, fraud, and coercion, and any combination of such means would be used to cause the person to engage in a commercial S act. Baby, that's the trafficking. He's done. And we just only on count one. There's 3 counts, guys. There's 3 counts. Okay. Count 2, S, trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion from at least 2009 up to and including about 2018. Wait. 2009 to 18, y'all. That's Cassie. That's Cassie. I don't even think that's Lil Rod. They say we don't care nothing about no Lil Rod. Not for this one. All right, let's keep reading. It says the defendant in and affecting interstate commerce knowingly recruited, harbored, obtained, advertised, maintained, patronized, and solicited by any means a person knowing and in reckless disregard of the fact that means of force, threats of force, fraud, and coercion as described under the law, and any combination of such means would be used to cause a person to engage in a commercial S act, and attempted, aided, and abetted, and willfully caused the same, to wit, Combs recruited, enticed, harbored, transported, and maintained a person, victim 1, okay, and attempted, aided, and abetted, and willfully caused victim 1 to engage in commercial S acts, knowing and in reckless disregard of the fact that victim 1 was engaging in commercial S as a result of force, fraud, and coercion. Now, important to note, whenever they say victim and they do a number, it's going to be that same person throughout. If they change the number, that's a different person. Count 3, from at least in or about 2009 up until today, 2024. The defendant knowingly transported an individual in interstate and foreign commerce with the intent that the individual engage in prostitution and attempted, aided, and abetted, and willfully caused the same, to wit, Combs transported, aided, and abetted, and willfully caused the transportation of female victims and commercial S workers in interstate and foreign commerce on multiple occasions with the intent that they engage in prostitution and that they become hookers. Forfeiture. What did I tell you? What did I say? I said civil asset forfeiture before. Please, baby. I might look like a ditz, but I'm not. I'm not new to this. I'm true to this. As a result of committing the offense alleged in count 1 of the indictment, Pursuant to Title 18 U.S. Code 1963, any and all interest the defendant acquired or maintained in violation of Title 18, any and all interest in securities of, that means stock, baby. That means stock, securities of, claims against, and property or contractual rights of any kind, affording a source of influence over the enterprise named and described herein, which the defendant established, operated, controlled, conducted, and participated in the conduct of and in violation of Title 18, and any and all property constituting and derived from the proceeds obtained directly and indirectly said offense, including but not limited to a sum of money in the United States currency representing the amount of proceeds traceable to the commission of said offense, they won. They are asking the federal court to seize everything he got left. Number 19, as a result of committing the offense alleged in count 2 of this indictment, the defendant shall forfeit to the U.S. any and all property, real and personal, that means real estate, personal property, involved in, used, or intended to be used to commit or facilitate the commission of said offense, and any and all property traceable to such property, and any and all property and real property constituting or derived from proceeds obtained directly or indirectly as a result of said offense, including but not limited to a sum of money in U.S. currency representing the amount of property involved in said offense and proceeds traceable to the commission of time. I'm going to read this out, then I'm about to tear it up, y'all. I'm about to tear it up. All right, we got one more page. Number 20. As a result of committing the offense alleged in count 3, the defendant shall forfeit to the U.S. pursuant to the law any and all property, real and personal, constituting or derived from proceeds obtained from directly or indirectly as a result of said offense in basically count 3. All property, real or personal, used or intended to commit the fraud. So it's the same. They're saying the same thing. They're basically saying anything for counts 1, 2, or 3. Here's the problem. Count 1, racketeering, is huge. It's everything, okay? It involves everything. So this effectively lets them seize whatever. Now I want to cover this part. Substitute asset provision. If any of the above described forfeitable property as a result of any act or omission of the defendant cannot be located upon the exercise of due diligence, has been transferred or sold to or deposited with a third person, has been placed beyond the jurisdiction of the courts. Hey, the third person, that can be his daughters. It does not matter if the homes were put in the daughters' names prior to the day of this indictment. They can still get to them. Because it goes by when were you conducting the acts. You don't get to do the acts and then transfer it into your daughter's name to protect him. Sorry, Charlie, try again. All right, number C, has been placed beyond the jurisdiction of the court. Number C. D, has been substantially diminished in value or has been commingled with other property which cannot be subdivided without difficulty, then it is the intent of the United States pursuant to the law to seek forfeiture of any other property of the defendant up to the value of the forfeitable property. Child, it's a Rico. Puerto Rico, not Puerto Rico. It's a Rico. We have a Rico charge here. Sorry about that. Here we go. Not to us. It said, yeah, I'm not regular. She's in God, I'm clear. Simone, who's going to Diddy's party now? Not me. He ain't having no more parties. He's going to be in jail. So let me summarize what this indictment has covered. There are 3 main counts. It's the Rico charge. It's racketeering. It's the Rico charge. It's trafficking, and it's kidnapping. They found 1,000 bottles of baby oil in this man's house, okay? So they found some weird shit. A bunch of baby oil, lube, and other things, as well as narcotics. They found as well. And most significantly, we tuned over to the press conference. And in the press conference, the U.S. attorney stated they are going for no bail. Meaning, even if he's got the money, They're going to ask the judge not to grant him bail because they believe that he's a flight risk. In addition, the document I have here on the screen says they are going for everything for civil asset forfeiture. Here's the problem with civil asset forfeiture. They take now, and later down the line, if they find out they're wrong, it's too late. They seize the assets and then they go auction them. So, y'all, this could include Diddy's house. His house is presently on the market for $70 million. He needs that money to be able to afford a good lawyer. And the language here, it states that they want anything traceable to those 3 crimes. Well, the problem is they don't really trace it specific to those. And there's the line E on there that says if that money has been commingled. So if he used a bank account that puts some of this trafficking money in the same account as the Sean John account, and it was already disclosed that he would use his businesses to pay for the travel of these S workers, this, that, and the third, it's gone, baby. They're going to be selling. Everybody wants to buy some Sean John stocks. Go on ahead. Now, I know that he stepped down from Revolt, but I don't know. He might have some Revolt stock. Y'all can buy some Revolt stock if he's got it. What happens is after the government seizes everything, they seize first, ask questions later. Literally, they seize everything. And then the burden is on the defendant to say, hey, not that, guys. That wasn't commingled. He will have to prove that. This is probably why yesterday his attorney was frantic when the judge would not lift the injunction that was preventing him from selling his home. The home's supposed to be under contract, or someone allegedly wants the house, right? Who's that? Sorry. Someone allegedly wants to purchase the home. They can't close on it now. So not only will he not be able to sell certain things, but items such as that were presently on the market, if he were to sell it, it would be in violation of this. No title company. I own a title company in Texas, Experience Title. If you're doing a closing anywhere in Texas, give us a call, 214-575-8300. Okay? But no title company in America is going to close a real estate sale on a home that is part of an indictment for trafficking. Boy, bye. What will happen is the federal government may likely take all of the properties and they will auction them. So if there is, going on over to Diddy's page, if you see a car he's got you like, go ahead, set your little timer. I'll be following this story extensively. I'll let you know when the auction is. You can buy anything. You got Rolexes, you can buy a Rolex. Literally, they're going to sell all of his possessions for this civil asset forfeiture. It is a way so that even if, let's say he's given a plea, and some of my colleagues, Brian Ross, who is on Court of Public Opinion with me, he is a excellent attorney that does criminal law, federal law. He states that he thinks that Diddy already knows how he's going to plea. My guess is he's going to plead not guilty, right? But that they could have already been in plea talks. Now, it doesn't mean it's a plea he wants to take, but those talks and everything. And Diddy knew he was going to be arrested either yesterday or today. I think the rumor is that it was supposed to be today, which makes sense because today is now the unsealing of the indictment, so that he went to New York for the purpose of being there so that he could, I think the hope was to turn himself in. Oh, Michelle. Michelle said, I didn't get your notification. I don't know. I'm so sorry. Glad this is happening. I hope. Yep. Sincerely, Latasha. Glad this is happening. Oh, poor TD. TD's about to get swallowed up in this. Swallowed up. Oh, yeah. I mean, he's going to be on somebody's witness list, I do believe. Southwest Houston said he better agree to a plea deal and move on. Hit that like button, y'all. Hit that like button so this can be recommended. TK says, since this is a Rico charge, are all the people involved also included in this case? So here's how it works. Each individual is going to be indicted separately, and each individual generally has their own case number. but then they can be combined under one case number as they're going to be tried, if they're going to be tried together, like in the YSL case. A2L said, so the victims will name names. Ooh, oh, baby. But what's interesting here is based on the offenses and this indictment, Cassie's the star witness. They only discussed a victim one. You saw that? So it appears that all of these, everything on this indictment was related to Cassie. Why? They would have listed other victim numbers, victim 2, victim 3, if they were referencing other victims. So the Rico, the kidnapping, the trafficking, she is their star victim. What do y'all think about that? You know what? I'm gonna drop the link. If somebody wants to, if y'all want to call in, I need to hear what y'all think. Here we go. I need to hear what y'all think. Because baby, this is too much. I wasn't quite ready for this. Sophie says, I think Diddy will plead guilty given what they have. I think it's all gonna go based on what's the time that they're offering him. He's not gonna plead guilty if he's gonna be facing life. But perhaps if he's given a time of, but can you even imagine Diddy doing time? There's gonna be the biggest target on his back. I mean, talk about protective custody. He's gonna need a chastity belt for his bottom, for his butthole. Hey Tia. All right, we got some comments. Tia, I want to hear your thoughts on this. I see you getting your hair done.
Booty. What's up, girlie? They braid my hair here in Ghana. Look.
Beautiful.
Look, this is a day I have prayed for forever. I have
Hey,
been
Tanya, I saw
praying.
that.
I'm so glad that they got him. I mean, even besides the sex trafficking, all the people that he's done wrong financially, like my brother, he has stolen from my brother year after year after year and has stolen the rights to all the music that my brother has done. So I am rejoicing in this because if you can't get got one way, God gonna get you another way. I'm so glad.
Did your brother ever try to pursue his claims civilly? No.
Yeah, no, because I'm telling you, to be honest, a lot of people let it go because they feared for their life. They knew the stuff that he was doing to people.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
that's why I was telling Danny in the comments. I said that Kid Cudi might not be the arson. You know, Kimora Lee's house caught on fire as well. That arson could be for her house.
No, I didn't. Oh, well,
Yes, that not too long, like last year around that time, November-ish, right around when it all dropped. Yeah, when Kimora Lee, you got to pull it up and check that out.
Got you. Wait, earlier this year. Okay, I sure will. Now, was your brother a rapper? Do we know who he is?
He's I'll tell you. I'll text you what's there. He's I'll text you. He wasn't a rapper, but I'll just say this. He's a legend, a producer. He has Grammys.
Oh.
He's a legend.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he's taken like most of his songs, like all of them. Like he did most of the hits in the 90s. That was my brother's behind him. Anybody that's on here that knows music, they can figure out who I'm talking about. But yes, I'm just glad. I'm rejoicing. All the people he's done dirty. This is their time.
And this is what she was talking about. So in December, Kimora Lee Simmons says, the kids and I are all fine after her house caught fire in LA. So it could be, we're going to have to see, the question is going to be, is the arson Kimora Lee's house? Or Kid
That's what
Cudi?
I'm saying. Everybody just automatically thought Kid Cudi, but it could be this.
Yeah, we got 800 watching. We've only got 300 likes. Let's get those likes up, guys. All right.
Y'all got to hit that like button. All right, I love you. Look, I'm gonna hit you up because you know you got to come here with me for my 50th. You know you're coming to Ghana with me.
Oh, Ghana. Oh, I can go. I'm definitely gonna go over there and try to get me a husband.
You have to come. Sidra is here now. I just was with her this morning. Sidra.
Oh, wonderful.
Sidra Smith. Yeah, she's getting her citizenship. They all here, girl. It is the bomb. You got to come.
Okay, I'm gonna try it out. All right,
All right,
talk to you later.
you.
All right, Gab Society. What are your thoughts on this?
Okay, my thoughts are it's interesting how you highlighted that everything came from Cassie. So I'm a claims adjuster, but I have a law degree. I went to Howard, and I've been working in personal injury for over 12 years. I work for companies that have, I'm talking about $20 million policies. The fact that they were sitting on this evidence for a long time. My mom asked me, why did it take 5 years for Cassie to come through with this and everything? I said, you have to understand in a legal strategy of what they had to do. When I worked for an insurance law firm as a student attorney, we had a case that was 5 years in the making, depositions, 900 pages. People really underestimate how long it takes to bring these cases forth. And the fact that they were able to issue $10 million immediately means that these companies were on the hook, not only for the fact that somebody purchased this tape, because what does your employee handbook say? Why is it that somebody was able to be bribed at your company? The insurance company is on the hook for that alone.
There we go. Thank you. Could you also speak to now some bloggers are saying that I was incorrect, that I was totally wrong about Cassie, and that actually let me play the clip for you. Hold on. I'm going to play the clip for you from my channel, and I want your thoughts on this. Is the clip that from my channel. It went viral, over 100 million views, where I was breaking down how it was that Cassie was able to get her settlement so quickly. So let me just go to this. Let me make sure I'm adding it. Hold on.
I think I remember this clip.
Okay. So let me know if you can't hear it, but here we are. Her attorneys were really brilliant. They didn't sue just Diddy. They sued his corporation.
They sure did.
And they sued his corporations and sued in her capacity as an employee. When you do that, it triggers commercial liability insurance. Yeah. And it triggers another policy called directors and officers. Okay. And we know he's a director of these companies as the CEO. So now you got two policies. What happens then is it takes away Puffy's ability to settle. It's not his choice no more.
So it's no longer personal accountability. It's his organization.
It's his organization. And it's no different than like if you hit somebody with your car. Mm-hmm. Let's say you have State Farm. Mm-hmm. State Farm gets to decide to settle, not you. You could say, I didn't run the stop sign. That's not true. They're lying. If State Farm says, we don't care, we did our investigation, we're settling. That's it. That's what happened here. So because they added those claims, the corporate insurance carrier got to say, read over and say, her attorneys were. There we go.
Absolutely facts on everything you said. I worked for State Farm for over 7 years as an independent adjuster, very high level claims with State Farm. After that, I went to law school and we studied cases that State Farm brought to all the way up to the Supreme Court. Everything you said is accurate.
Could you also speak to some bloggers were like, absolutely not. Simone is wrong. That lawyer thinks because they said insurance doesn't cover deliberate acts or criminal acts. Now, you and I know that's right. They don't cover those. But when there are intentional deliberate acts and crimes, and then there are the negligent acts or the other covered acts, can you explain how that actually insurance doesn't get off the hook because you've also done something deliberate?
Absolutely. When it comes to corporations, so I have a big client, and we're a third party administrator. So we deal with a lot of big self-insurers. Now, when it comes to video, here is the thing why they're on the hook. What I was explaining about them having somebody that you insure, having an employee that was able to be bribable. Okay. This is a big deal with this. They may have been sitting on this evidence for years and knew that they lost the tape, but whoever found out that Diddy had access to it or somebody had access to it, that would lead a smart adjuster like me that deals with litigation to know that, okay, but why was it lost? The questions continue to flow. And because of the fact that he had a copy of this or somebody in Diddy's camp had a copy of it, probably something that they obtained when they raided his house, that triggers an excess insurance company. So excess means whoever owns the company you might have $1 million here, you might have 50 million years, $50 million, $50 million on top of that coverage. The excess company is going to say, oh my God, we do not want to pay this. Pay whatever it is at your level, because this is going to trigger something else. I absolutely think that that's what happened when they issued that $10 million immediately.
Now, which 10 million are you referring to? Are you referring to the hotel?
The settlement with Cassie.
Okay.
Remember,
do you think okay, what gives you the 10 million? There's different numbers that have been floating around. What makes you feel like it was 10?
Well, that was what was CNN and all of that. Like when they put that video out, immediately within 24 hours, that settlement was reached. So
wait, when you say the video, you mean the hotel video?
The hotel video.
Okay, got you. So then that would be 10 million. You're talking about the 10 million from the hotel, not
the $10 million settlement. Because this is what I do. I work on settlements. We're going to try to settle any case that is potential for this kind of litigation. Somebody said at the insurance company, whoever was the lower level insurance company, because with hotels, you're dealing with massive amounts of insurance. Whoever was the lower level company, when they triggered their excess coverage, said, settle it now.
Yeah.
Settle
but I
this
just wanted to
now.
confirm, when we're talking about the 10 million, we're only talking about the hotel. We are not talking about what Diddy's team paid her based on Diddy's insurance. And there's multiple. See, the reason why as well, she sues Bad Boy, she sues Sean Combs Enterprises, each of them, it's a different insurance policy for everyone. And she got every dollar there was to get. And here's why it was so quick. So many people were saying, oh, Cassie gave in too quick. Here's how the law works. Okay. And I have here Gab Society. She both went to law school and she's a multi-million-dollar claims adjuster. Okay. So she handles claims like this, so she can speak to it. Is what happens is we, the lawyer, because this is the kind of law that I do, right? I am insurance from the plaintiff side. I represent victims and we get to the policy. We send a demand letter that says, we will settle this in exchange for you giving us your full insurance policy limits. So whatever dollar amount is there, we want that, right? The only way to get me to shut up, dismiss, and go away without filing suit is you then have to give me every damn dime of the policy. Also, if you offer me every dime of the policy, let's say that every dime of each of the policies only totals 50 million, but I really think it's 100 million. I got to take the 50 million and sign a release that says I'm not going to go for any more. I'm not going to go for 100 million. I'm not going to go for $1 more. So you either take everything in the policy or you take nothing. So for those who were like, oh, she should have fought more, there was nothing to fight for. They said, here, we're giving you everything that we have. That's why she settled so quickly. It's because there's nothing to fight about. If they said we're giving you less than everything they have, she would have kept fighting. That's why they gave her every dime. Would you agree, Gab?
Absolutely. And I promise you that $10 million was a drop in the pot to whatever the excess coverage was. And the excess carrier insurance company was like, probably put pressure on them. Give this $10 million ASAP.
Yeah. Absolutely. So thank you so much for joining us, Gab Society. Also email me. I'd love to stay in touch with you and bring you on when I have some other insurance related questions at attorneysimone@gmail is my email address, and it's Simone with a Y.
Absolutely. So. You already follow me on IG.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, then send me a DM. That way I know it's you. Thanks, hon.
Will do. Bye.
Yes. All right. So I'm going to answer some of these questions here. So did Cassie get more than 30 million? Yes, baby, she did. Simone, are you saying she got 10 from the insurance? I'm saying likely 10 from the hotel plus whatever she got from Diddy, which was rumored to be 30 million. I'm not certain, but rumored to be 30 million. I believe it was a minimum of 30 million. I think it might have been closer to 50 because I believe that there were probably multiple policies in place. Now, if there's 3 policies, it's believable that of those 3, there's 10 million each. So the question is, so you said her attorney sued the hotel too. I'm confused. So it's okay. I love explaining this stuff. Her lawyers didn't have to sue the hotel. Because what we do before we file a lawsuit, we send what's called a demand letter. And we say, basically, it's a stick up. Give me all your insurance. Give me all your insurance. And in that letter, they articulated this happened. One of your staff members was bribed to get rid of this footage. We have proof of that, whatever. And in turn, the hotel chain, which is IHG, which owns the Hotel Intercontinental and others, that hotel chain investigated it through their insurance adjusters and said, oh, hell no, we can't take this to trial. This woman will get hundreds of millions against us. So we're just going to give her the insurance policy now. By them giving it to her just off the strength of the letter, she didn't have to file suit. They did not sue her. So the answer is they also didn't make her sue them. In other words, they gave her the money without her filing the lawsuit, just based on her lawyer sending them a demand letter. Because that hotel chain could never, ever make it past the marketing shame and the public outcry that they would have suffered if they had forced that girl to sue them publicly for what they did by allowing that tape to be destroyed. So I hope that helps explain. What type of insurance are you suing typically? So there's different kinds for different instances. If there's a slip and fall, there's general liability there. If it's an auto accident, there's auto coverage. But a lot of people forget every corporation has insurance in place to cover lawsuits from employees. Those are lawsuits that could be sexual harassment. It could be wrongful termination. It could be discrimination. Those policies are what Cassie's lawyers were counting on when they drafted her lawsuit, as well as Don Richards, who sued Diddy. When her lawsuit was drafted by Lisa Bloom, they very clearly stated that these people were employees, because by doing that, it triggers the employment insurance policy coverage for every corporation listed on that complaint. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe, y'all. Make sure you turn on the notifications. JR, okay, JR, I'm gonna show some of your comments. Listen, JR is upset, y'all. JR got indicted when he was 18, he said, and he said it was BS. And so JR really feels that she stayed for that money and a lifestyle. It could be that she was too scared to leave too. That happens too. I don't know if you've ever beat anybody or beat a woman or seen a woman suffering domestic violence. I hope it never happened to any of your loved ones. But if you've ever seen it, then you know that the way that they are able to continually do what they do is based on fear. If you weren't scared, you wouldn't let them whoop your tail. JR, don't tuck your tail. Ooh. Oh, Cassie stayed for clout. In the petition, Cassie specifically talked about how she tried to leave him, and every time she tried to leave him, he would reel her back in. He would hurt the people that she loved. And the same thing happened with Kim Porter. With Kim Porter, every time she tried to leave because of his foolishness, he would do things and try and reel her back in. And let's not forget, one of her boyfriends even came up unalived, in conjunction with this. Shirley said he ain't gonna make it in prison. They're gonna get him. I hope he can box. Yeah, he's gonna get beat up real good. He's gonna be really beat up. I love our community too. We are so informed and diverse. Yes, thank you. And thank you, Abita Shid, for being such a great moderator. Just by telling someone they better not move is kidnapping. It's loosely, but here, he was dead wrong for beating that woman like that. Thank you, JR. Kidnapping will stick if you made anyone against their rule. Now, right now, I believe, based on what we read in the indictment, that the kidnapping pertains to Cassie, probably multiple different acts. Because again, here's the big kicker with this indictment. It appears all of the allegations pertain to things that he did to Cassie and to people around Cassie. The arson seems to be Cassie's, other love interest, Kid Cudi, him blowing up the boy's car. Because apparently arson would be with the statute of limitations. Kidnapping, absolutely within the limitations. And then the S trafficking. Now, what we'll have to see is if the allegation is that Cassie is the only one S trafficked, or is she going to be the lead victim? Because here's the thing. Baby, when they get Cassie on that stand, it's over. It's over. She is an extremely sympathetic victim. She has been quiet. She has not said a word. She don't need to say a word. She don't need to say a word. These indictments, these charges are going to speak for her. She said everything she needed to say in her own complaint. Don Richards, shockingly, it did not appear that the allegations in the indictment, I'm put it back up here, had anything to do with Don, in that, I'll make it a little bigger for myself at least. Yeah, these allegations, especially how it talks about victim one, there was only one victim that was referenced, and it was clear that that victim was Cassie. Let's go back to it. Here it is on count one, which is the Rico charge, or count two rather, states that solicited by any means, knowing, reckless disregard, and combined means he used to cause the person to engage in commercial S acts, and attempted, aided, abetted, and willfully caused the same, to wit, Combs recruited, enticed, harbored. It says attempted, aided, abetted, and willfully caused victim one to engage in commercial S acts. Victim one is Cassie. That's Cassie. And that's the charge of S trafficking by fraud, force, or coercion. And you see, it even says under there, victim one. Let me go back. I want to make sure under the racketeering charge. Let me see. Let's go back. Okay, count two. Yes, S trafficking victim one. And then count three, transportation to engage in prostitution. Ooh, woo. Yep. And then the time frames. So the transportation to engage in prostitution was 2009 to 2024. But then Cassie's acts, the one pertaining to her, was 2009 to 2018. That's how we know that was in reference to her. Oops, going the wrong way. And then I just want to confirm with the racketeering allegation, that count, and that's the count that's going to be, child, that one's going to go a long way. Count one, racketeering. Yeah, that's going to encompass a variety of different victims. So, yeah. Any other comments? Let's see. Purple Rain, what do you got? What you got to add there? You ready?
Hi, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. I guess for me, I still feel like there's a slight, even if because I feel like it's different this time because the feds are on him. And when it comes to these federal people work in that field, like cases like this can build them up. So I'm sure they've done all of their due diligence and everything. But it's it's still giving me the vibe that he could just pull a Russell Simmons and just be like, oh, I'm just gonna leave. But then I also don't feel like they're gonna let him go that easily.
I don't think so either. I think, I'm missing some super chats, guys. Hold on one second.
Okay.
Ronzi, thank you so much. Ron's H, thank you. The Gab Society, thank you as well for the super chat. And Khadijah, thank you, and thank you. It seems that here, it's 50-50. I'm looking forward to seeing whether or not he's going to get bailed. This man's going to lose his. He is like the least. Oh God, he's not going to, because he's not accustomed to not being able to pay his way out of the foolishness he involves himself in.
Yeah, for
that's
sure.
all he ever does. So in this instance, I feel like he's absolutely going to go berserk.
For sure. I believe that. But I also saw a couple of questions in the chat where people were like, oh, his co-conspirators and basically the people that enabled him should also be tried. But I just wanted to ask, what's kind of the likelihood of that, because I noticed when it came to R. Kelly, there was a bunch of people that were also enabling and stuff, but they weren't the ones who got like the brunt of the consequences, I would say.
Well, the difference there, and I could be incorrect, I need to recheck, but my understanding is that I don't think his included Rico. Let me just double check. Hold on.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Let me just see.
But I'm wondering because
No,
R. Kelly, it was
9
state
Rico counts. No, you're
lines,
right.
yeah.
It says R. Kelly was, let me see. Sure. It actually says, ooh, that's pretty small. But R. Kelly was convicted in September 2021 on 9 Rico counts related to accusations. He orchestrated a long-running scheme to recruit and abuse women and underage girls, sentenced to 30 years in prison. It will be the same. It will be the same. Diddy is gone.
Okay.
So you're right. But yeah, I don't recall hearing about any of his colleagues also being wrapped into it as accomplices. We're gonna have to see. We're gonna have to see. And it says years ago, Sloan Bella said that this was gonna happen to Diddy. Yep. JR says the S trafficking or BS. Well, when you make people do stuff against their will, and I also really appreciate men's perspectives, even if I disagree. But yeah, Sloan Bella was not joking with that. It says they probably offered agreements to the witnesses, yes, to testify. Thank you, Kenesha. I love the community we're building here.
Yes.
If you're not subscribed, please do. Y'all have some of the most like intellectually stimulating. Y'all, I'd be like trying to be on dates and stuff. I'm like, I'm sorry, I just gotta check my comments because I really like engaging with you guys. But also, a lot of you guys are in different industries, or you had experience with Mr. JR here. He has been indicted before, so he's experienced. And I love hearing when you guys share the different things. But this is a great point. They probably offered agreements to witnesses to testify to help with the investigations. And what happens is, unless what they've done is really, really, really bad, okay, maybe held a woman down against her will, something like that. Unless it's really, really bad, they prefer to use witnesses that have what's called clean hands, basically using witnesses that are not also charged, because then juries are more likely to accept their version of the facts. They feel that witnesses who are also criminals, one, shouldn't be trusted, and two, are simply testifying to reduce their own upcoming punishment. So that actually can be.
So then my other question is, so I know they said they had like a jury and like it was, but I always wonder how they can do like the selection and make sure the people are not like slightly, because even with Trump, like I always wonder how they were able to do that, because like he was the former president. So how would they pick people that aren't going to be like taking that into, because when they come to jury selection, they try to get people who are unattached, don't know anything and stuff like that.
Okay, so are you talking about
the
the grand jury that already met, or are you talking about sitting a new jury?
I guess the current one, like the reason why he's had to go to
okay, so here's the problem with grand juries. Grand juries are you generally agree to do this for like 3 months at a time. So let's just think about the people who can afford to go up to the courthouse for like freaking $20 a day and sit there and hear cases to decide whether or not they're going to indict. These are old people. These are handicapped people, which is nothing wrong with handicapped people. But old people, I don't want a jury full of baby boomers. They are not my peers. They're not any of our peers. But unfortunately, because the time commitment of a grand jury is like 3 or 4 months and they don't pay, it is not a living wage. You get people who don't need money for whatever reason, it is weird. It's weird, and it needs to be changed, because what the hell, y'all, that's why so many police do not get indicted, because if they're filled with a jury of senior citizens who are scared for their life because they're worried on any given day their hip implant's gonna pop out when they're trying to load water bottles into the grocery cart, These are
True,
they
true.
all they think about is like, oh, the police are protectors, the police, they're not gonna whip my behind. They're right, they're not gonna whip your behind because you're an eggshell plaintiff, okay? You got about 12 more days left on the planet.
Oh my
You are
goodness.
not the ones who's probably gonna get your butt beat by these same officers who won't get indicted. So I just say that to say, the grand jury system is it's a touch and go, it's skewed, but it is also skewed towards those like senior citizens, like disabled,
Okay.
those kind of people who actually tend to be very concerned about their safety, and they lean towards indictment. Like 90% of the time you're indicted. And then I want to say that there's like a 96% conviction rate when it comes to going to trial in federal court. So thank you so
I
much, Purple
see.
Rain.
I see. So it's
Mhm.
considered federal court because it's between, like, the victims are in different states.
That's
Okay.
right. And
So
that is
I guess
also why
that makes
California,
sense.
yeah, that's
Oh,
also why California
yes.
likely said, "Oh, there's nothing we can do." When that video came out, it wasn't that there was nothing to do. That video came out after the raid. The raid was able
Oh.
to be conducted because the feds were already investigating. The feds had enough probable cause to get that search warrant, right? Cassie
Right.
shared with them enough information that created the probable cause for them to get the search warrant. And then it is believed that the Cassie video that was leaked was a video that was obtained in the raid.
Okay,
Okay.
so that's verified that we know that it probably came from the raid. Because
No,
even when
it's
I
not
saw the,
verified. It's still
okay,
alleged. It's still
okay,
alleged.
but it's most likely.
Most likely, because if you follow the timing of it,
Mm-hmm.
um, and it was also alleged throughout her document, she talks about how he always kept videos of things. That's also
Right.
something that a very sick abuser does. He likes because, like, a common sense person is like, you take the video, you
And
destroy it.
destroy it.
You weirdo, you destroy it. But
Yeah.
it's always great when criminals are not as smart as they want us to believe that they are, because
Yeah,
that's
because then
how,
we just get them.
yeah, that's how they
That's,
get caught. Yeah,
yeah. And
Private
now
says
that
the
I'm
intent.
thinking about it, because it's in the state of New York, and also they recently had the, like, basically where Cassie was able to go and file because of the, I guess I forgot what the
The
name of the
statute that, yeah, the
yes.
window that
Yeah,
reopened.
so I
Perfect
can
sense.
see why this happened in New York versus like in Chicago, because that's a different state, and the way they treat things is very different. So
Absolutely.
it could work. Like this thing, like we could really get him. Like I have faith, but it's just also it's New York, so it's like super rich people and like they know how to game the system. But
Mhm.
I don't think they're gonna let him go that easily. So
Yeah, I
yeah.
agree. Well, thank you so much, Purple Rain. I really appreciate
Yeah,
you.
love your channel.
Oh, absolutely. And Lady, you are next. I'm going to bring you up. And Lady, before we start, how you doing, Lady?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
Excellent. I want to answer this question that I have on the screen. The question is a great one. Will his estate go to his kids, or are they taking everything? Baby girl, they're going to take everything. Influenced by God, they're going to take everything that they can. So they're going to take it all. And then they're basically going to leave it to Diddy's lawyers to argue why certain things, one, have not been commingled, or two, can be traced only to, valid gains. So as an example, let's say the Diageo stock, if he still has any of it, they may claim that all of that stock doesn't have anything to do with any of these exploits or these behaviors, and therefore he should be able to access those, sell it, and do what he wants. But it will take years. And if you Google civil asset forfeiture, what you will see is there are countless stories of actually innocent people where their assets were seized because they were charged with something federally, never returned, sold, and the government just says, sorry, the law says we can take it, figure it out. All right. So Lady, what would you like to add? What are your thoughts?
So for I guess your commentator, Mr. JR, you keep harping on the fact that Cassie stayed and that she enjoyed the lifestyle. Let me speak to you as someone who have worked with victims of domestic violence. It's like a grooming period for someone that wants to groom children. They do everything nice. They do everything sweet. They give you all the flowers, the candy, the time, the attention. They woo you over. And then once they have you, even to the point where they degrade the previous relationships that they were in, and they would tell you things like, but I would never treat you that way. I would never do that to you. You would never that you would never live that life. To kind of put that person on the high horse. And once they get them on a high horse and they get them to where they want them, then that's where it starts with a push, a slap, a throwing of something, and they apologize. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. I don't know what came over me. And then it starts over again. It's a repeated cycle. But if you actually listen to when they broke it down, when Cassie first came out and she broke everything down of how she tried to get away, how she tried to leave him, how he beat her so bad that when he called her the next day because he left her in her house with his kids, he told her, you need to do something with your face because my kids can't see you like that. She went to her parents. She brought them back. The security people just like, well, try not to make them so mad. It was a repeated cycle. And after a while, it's just like slavery. You beat somebody down so much for so long, for so hard, you feel like you have no other recourse but to stay, or that person is going to unalive you. So you can sit up here and say that she stayed because of the lifestyle, because she was enjoying it. I don't think anybody enjoys a bit of any punch, slap, kick, or beat down. Let's not forget, prior to this all coming out, there was a video of Castle balled up in a knot on the floor with a blanket covered over her. We never saw her face.
Right.
We never saw her face. Yep. And let's be also clear, up until the actual hotel video came out, there were people that still did not believe that this happened to her.
Sure didn't.
Once they saw the video, now it's, oh, I didn't think it was that bad. Or what did she do to make him act that way? They still blamed her for it. They still blame, because I was reading some of the comments. He is a classic abuser. He beat Kim Porter. He beat his first children's mother. He abused men with his power, with his money to destroy them. So, yeah, you might have did your 19 years for whatever you did, but let me tell you something. One thing I know for certain, and two things for sure. The feds are not going to come after you, but the 95 clearance rate, they're not going to do it. They got better things to do and bigger fish to fry.
Absolutely.
So as he said at the conference that this is an ongoing investigation, I don't think he's the only one. There's going to be others named.
Yeah.
Just sit back and watch. You may not like how things went, sir, but these are the facts. Domestic violence victims, be it men or women, don't wake up every day and say, I want to be a victim of domestic violence. That's not how that works.
Right. Absolutely.
So that's all I wanted to say. I just kept saying that comment, and I work with victims like that. And it's sad to see. It's easy for us to say it because we're not in that situation. But once you put in that situation, then it's something totally different. We can Monday night quarterback all day. No, I ain't gonna stand there and let them.
He frequently references she had opportunities to leave. Well, he clearly hasn't read page to page the entire petition, her complaint, because you'll see in there multiple times she did in fact try to leave, and then he would beat her. He would come. He R-worded her at one point when she tried to leave, and so she tried multiple times. Okay, she tried.
And each time she did, it got worse and worse and worse. Each beating became worse.
Generally, when violence DV survivors pass away, it's after trying to leave. So
exactly.
Thank you, ladies, so much for contributing.
And I love your show.
Thank
you.
And
your outfit was fire at the court hearing, and I can't wait to see you for the next one.
Yes. Oh, I'm going to try to be in this courtroom now. I'll pull you on down. Thank you, lady. But I'm going to speak to that. I'm going to continue covering this story as I have from the beginning until now. But also, of course, federal court, of course, I would love to be there. But federal court's a lot different than state court. Like, federal court judges are lifetime appointments, meaning it doesn't matter what that judge does. So anything short of like an actual crime, they're going to be in that position for life. They can do rulings you don't like, blah, blah, blah. But federal courts, they don't even allow, most of them don't allow cell phones unless you are an attorney on the case. Okay, so you can't have cell phones brought in, no recording devices. They're very strict in particular. And I'm sure that courtroom is going to be filled every day. More than likely, they're not going to allow recording, more than likely. I don't think R. Kelly's trial was recorded. So it's probably going to be the same because both were federal court. Federal is just very, very different. What's at 1 p.m., Jen? Oh, what's at 1 p.m.? All right. So I just wanted to make sure that we covered this. Stay tuned. Make sure you hit that notification button. We're going to be covering it some more. The gist of it was he has been indicted. He's been indicted on 3 counts: a count of Rico charge, which carries life, a count of S trafficking, and kidnapping. So we're going to stay tuned to this. This is your girl, your legal bestie, Attorney Simone at Girl, Is That Legal?